So, scientists have found that babies sometimes cry at night to prevent their parents from making another baby. What the fuck? Honestly, at this point, I think I'm gonna start reviewing some of the facts that have been put on this place here where I get my facts from. Cause damn, like I was actually looking through the whole Osama bin Laden thing again, and it just doesn't make sense. It's not like the guy put up a press conference and said, you know what, I want to marry Whitney Houston and make her one of my many wives. Yes. It's not like he said that. But anyways, it is what it is. If you do not know what it is that you are on, it is your weekly Twitter madness area, courtesy of the Break Time on Westside podcast. The show is Tweetstreet. We are on the 5th episode. And the man on the mic is Sir Denver B. Welcome. I will not lie. To some level, I almost didn't have shit to talk about for today. But, well, you know how it is. We gotta make shit work. You know what I mean? We gotta make shit work. Because for some reason, because of COVID-19, people are barely talking about, like, different shit. People are either talking about Corona or pretty much getting bottom of the barrel questions or just doing challenges, especially challenges. And I feel as though Corona has brought about another pandemic on the internet called challenges, because people have done everything from trying to bounce around different things to playing with toilet paper to now even ladies doing dress up challenges, yet they're not going anywhere. And then after that, they have to go and take off all the makeup they put on and then go back to default factory settings for their bedroom. And I'm sorry for that. Although I won't lie, that Don't Rush challenge is actually pretty nice. I have seen some very fine women. It's made me want to start running back into people's DMs again. But you know how it is, you know. Sometimes you just have to accept that social distancing has to distance you from a lot of things. That being said, I do need to address the whole situation about me and not talking about COVID-19 or Miss Rona and the kind of situation and everything and telling people blah, blah, blah. Now, to be very honest, I haven't done that for about 3 main reasons. Now, reason number 1 is that I'm not a medical professional in any sense of the word. I haven't done as much research on coronavirus. I have no specialty in dealing with diseases of this nature. So personally, I don't see why it is that I talk about something that I don't fully understand. Second reason is that, and actually to be very honest, this is the main one, everyone's talking about it. Whether you're on news, whether you're on the internet, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on SoundCloud, whether you're just about anywhere, people are just talking about coronavirus. And I do get the severity of the issue, but I feel as though people need a break from listening to such shit. Well, not that it's shit, but you get the point. And essentially, I feel as though the podcast is a way that people can also escape from it. And if you're not being reminded about something that everyone's talking about, well, it might help. Plus, I like to be different. I don't like being like everyone else, and this is one of those few times when I feel as though I can choose not to be like everyone else. And I think last and final reason that I can probably give is I've spoken about it on the podcast, but I've ended up editing it out because maybe the episode is too long, or yeah, it pretty much ends up going to the editing trash bin because for the most part, I usually just, how would I call it? I usually have to cut off stuff that are either not too relevant or take away from the story, or I just don't really find fitting the entire description. But anyways, this is me speaking about it, asking you guys to sanitize and self-quarantine and self-isolate and try and work on yourselves and build yourselves. Because damn, people been watching Netflix a fuck ton. Like, people consume content a lot, and no word of a lie, like, this is something good for everyone in the online creators space. Like, hell, listen to my podcast and enjoy yourselves. But shit, like, try do something productive as well. Never has binge watching shit been such a good thing for people. But, well, you know, people are still gonna do that shit. Anyways, that being handled, I need to mention one thing. So while I was on Twitter, there was this very interesting tweet that I saw about someone who just spoke about children and was like, not to brag, but what a time to be childless. And she did get a bit of bashing but there were a lot of childless, quote unquote, people, a lot of single people, a lot of people who haven't had kids who were agreeing. And a couple of parents were coming up and they were like, oh, you don't know the joy of having a kid. And I've got to say it, I know this is the easy route, but it's the only route that I can take. There's nothing as enjoyable as not having a child right now, because you don't have to deal with them and homework. You don't have to worry about them running around. Children are basically noisy, especially when they're young. And it's a lot cheaper. It's a lot more economical to not have kids around this time. So for any parent who has kids, it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just that for us single people, for us childless people, we're at a much better place financially, and I'd say psychologically to some level, because I don't know if y'all are just okay with all the noise that they can make sometimes. Then, like I said, I almost didn't get shit because I was busy running into a lot of, I don't call them bottom tier, but very just random questions. So at some point I ran into this one, which I can probably call the most interesting one. What's the highest number of rounds that you've had during sex? And no word of a lie, it did bring in a couple of different answers. And for the ladies, they came through and they were talking about, oh, maybe 24 because it lasted a whole day, so 1 round per hour. And I'm sitting back busy thinking, you know what, that's probably bullshit. Because I don't think ladies are supposed to do that many rounds. Because think about it like this: 2-3 rounds, hell, maybe even 4 rounds of amazing sex can have anyone just saying, you know what, I'm done. And also, for niggas, we know our own dicks. We know how the schlong work. So obviously, when you hit the schlong and you nut, like, let's say, 2-3 times, by that point, that shit is numb. That thing is just, it becomes a burden. And any guy can try this, just for experience sake. You know, you can go and you can nut, whether you're smashing a babe, whether you're playing around with a seatbelt, you know what I mean? Or as some people would say, rolling the dice. Just go do it a bunch of times. And I think by the time you get past number 3, at that point, it becomes stressful. Or at least it becomes a pain. It's no longer as enjoyable. But for the people that will talk about, I don't know, 6, 7, 12, 15, which one is this? I didn't count. That one clearly means that she probably got to round 3 and she just lost her mind. Which clearly means that you probably should have just taken a step back. But like I said, there is no need to go beyond probably about 3 rounds. 3 rounds of amazing sex should have anyone done at this point. That being said, let's see. Which of the tweet really caught my attention? Well, I was running through the entire fact list. Well, I was looking for some interesting fact to give you guys. I ran across this interesting fact that did kind of make me think about sex a certain way. And it was, during sex, men tend to get distracted by worries about performance, and women tend to be distracted by concerns about appearance. And that actually did get me thinking a certain way, because the way I look at it, why the hell is it that people need to be distracted about such shit when they're having sex? Because that's like the end game. Because alright, I don't mean to sort of make sex an end all be all, but ideally, sex is the highest that you can ever really go when it comes to the relationship between a man and a woman. Like, that's the highest peak of physically induced happiness that you can get. Now, obviously, at that point, you should probably be hitting it and, you know, not giving a damn care in the world. But I'm not gonna lie, because I've second guessed myself a lot of times for different things. So I guess that obviously you will get distracted by certain things, because for guys, we're judged on our performance a lot nowadays. Like I've said previously before multiple times, we're judged based on our performance in the bedroom. You know, dick size is becoming a thing, and how long you last in bed is becoming a thing. And I did try and give you guys an antidote for that. I gave you all the remedy, and y'all can find it in one of the former episodes that I actually, Battle of the Sexes, episode 11, called He Bust Too Quick. It gives y'all the answer to that, and it's a pretty simple one. You go, you nut before you start, and then you go and you do that shit. Or when you start, you make sure you nut real quick, and then you pause, and then you all give yourselves like 10 extra minutes of foreplay to go back in. Because like when you think about it, it's almost like a pit stop. And then now you go in and you'll do it for like an hour or something. Because it's become a very, very big problem for a lot of guys when you have to consider your performance. And I won't lie, it will distract a lot of people, because I don't think there's any guy that would like to be sort of the butt of girl reviews when it comes to having sex. Every guy wants to be described as, oh, that guy has a monster dick. That guy can give it to you for hours. That guy has amazing dick. He has, I don't know, mind-blowing, super distractive, make you want to pay for everything and keep the man, force you to get married and have his kids type dick. Every guy wants to be known for that, at least in the dick department. So obviously, you'll find that guys will get stressed out about performance. But at least now, for those of you guys that might be stressed out about that shit, Battle of the Sexes episode 11 has got you covered. Now, that being said, of which it's actually not the only one, now that I think about it. There was even a more recent episode that I did that covered that. Because ideally, if I'm not wrong, it should be No Nuts Yet, Battle of the Sexes episode 27 as well. I also went into that. And that one was using the distraction. But if you don't want to use distraction, I'd pretty much just urge you guys to, how would I call it? Just go, do it. Whatever the hell happens, happens. Unfortunately, society is not here to help us with the whole, review option. But if you feel like you last too short of a time, distract yourself. If you feel like you last long enough, don't bother yourself with trying to get distracted. Just go get the job done and go back to work. And continue building this country, or self-isolating yourself, whichever is better. Of which, if you're having sex with someone random during this self-isolation period, you are a COVIDiot. Anyways, that being said, I will say that for a fact, women being distracted about concerns of their appearance also does kind of make sense to a small degree. But ideally, for guys, let me explain this to women. For the women that are listening to this, for us guys, we are very simple human beings. By the time we're hitting it with you, or at least by the time we're banging you, we don't care that much about your appearance. We just want to get it done. So ideally, it becomes a hell of a lot easier for us if we either close our eyes or we hit it from the back. If you're so concerned about your appearance, just let him do doggy for most of that time. Or, just ride in reverse cowgirl or some shit. It'll offset that whole looks situation, and it should make the both of y'all nut very quickly. If you have insecurities about your beauty, just know that by the time there's someone that wants to put you to bed, then there's obviously something that they really like about you. Just get that through your system. Not unless if it's one of these fuckers that can fuck everything and anything that has a vagina. Now, because obviously the internet was running out of content, I thought that I was about to lose it all. But a tweet by someone by the Twitter name of @chisom_ was the one that kind of brought me back to life here. And I'll probably edit all of this shit out. Or not. A man is dating two ladies at a time, Chioma and Bisola. He told Chioma there's Bisola, but told Bisola she's the only one he's dating. Who does he love the most? And let's see how smart you are about relationships. Now, I saw this, and someone even posted it up on a WhatsApp group, and I saw guys going back and forth, and especially the ladies were like, oh, it's Chioma that's loved more, because for guys, this whole thing about trust, which they always talk about all the time, it's being manifested here because he trusts Chioma well enough that he can tell her. And a lot of guys were like, oh, it's Bisola that's loved. And I will not lie, both of them could be right and wrong. But as a man that likes to speak for a lot, if not as many men as possible, I will say that this is too simplistic of a situation to define where the love is. Because the way I see it, it could be either. Because there's not a lot of information going with this. Because let's assume that he's dating Chioma and they're having an open relationship. And he loves Chioma, but it's an open relationship. And it's not just an open relationship, it's an open long distance relationship. So obviously they've got the love for each other. So he'll be smashing Bisola and he'll say that, I love you and all that shit. Probably because Bisola wants to hear that she's loved. Probably because she wants that kind of affection. But she's probably being used for the smash. But at the same time, you might find that Chioma is just a side chick. And Bisola is the woman that he wants to marry. Obviously because he doesn't want to ruin that shit. And, assuming that they're not engaged but this guy wants to marry her. Of course, he's not gonna start explaining to Bisola that there's another woman in my life, because that'll pretty much end shit. Now I hope y'all are getting me with this shit, because clearly the situation is a little too simplistic. You might find that Chioma is interested in a threesome. So the man told her about Bisola. Is like, you know what, there's another shorty that I've been seeing. If you're okay with us trying this bisex type shit, I can bring her over. And she's alright with it. So this guy is probably just waiting on like telling Bisola, but he just recently found out that Bisola is very, let's say, homophobic, or isn't open to, isn't open to experiencing new experiences. Let me call it that, experiencing new experiences. So of course she might seem a little taken back by this. So this guy, for fear of, ruining things with Bisola, might just back down. So obviously y'all are seeing it right now. It's a very simplistic situation, but assuming that every factor remains constant, all relationships are closed, and it's a matter of deciding who it is that loves the other. Honestly speaking, because this shit was being talked about in the fucking Twilight Saga, never really thought I'd reference it, but this man might actually be in love with both of them equally, because the Twilight Saga had such shit that happened and people believed in that shit. So yeah, why couldn't he be in love with both of them? Because the way I see it, we don't have a lot to go on, and when we don't have a lot to go on, then obviously everyone can make assumptions about anything. But the way I see it, if Bisola isn't married to this guy, hell, he could love her, he could not love her. If Chioma wasn't married to this guy, he could love her, he could not love her. Because the way a man's mind works is very interesting. And before y'all start talking to me about love and the heart and all that shit, I'm gonna tell you guys something that has been said by a lot of people countless times before. Women love with their heart, men love with their mind. For us guys, if we're gonna proclaim our love for someone, as much as yes, we sort of feel it in the heart, we have a lot of mind into it. So probably Chioma is just the gold digging babe that doesn't mind any other extras, but obviously just wants this man for the money. So she's probably a side chick. Could be a main, could be a side, but she's a girlfriend of some sort. So obviously she probably doesn't care if Bisola exists. Hell, she can even ask, so how's Bisola, blah blah blah. Bisola might be an independent woman that's just about getting her money, and she wants to settle down and have a chilled family life at some point with probably 2 little kids running around, a boy and a girl, perfect family setup that was set up by Hollywood and bullshit. So obviously she ain't ready to hear about open relationship, trying to have 2 girlfriends type shit. I don't know, can be anything, could be anything, could be everything. But for us guys, we can love 2 people at the same time and have a problem choosing one. And we can't always tell every single woman everything. Sometimes we trust people, and of course for us, love requires a good amount of trust, but at the same time, you lie the most to the people that you love the most, if you feel me. Because sometimes you know very well that the truth is just something that they can't bear to hear. But anyways, I want to know what you guys think. On IG, it is at Breaktime on Westside. On Twitter, you can hit me up at BagakaTheD. On SoundCloud, because now we shall be going back to SoundCloud, it is on Breaktime on Westside, where you can drop your comments as well. Some of y'all have asked me to go back there. See, I listen. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next episode. Take care, sanitize, and be safe. Peace.